Hello everyone, I'm from Khan Studio, and in this clip, we'll be recapping the action-packed movie A Working Man 2005.
It's about a peace-loving construction worker, a former war veteran, who must return to his past as a top assassin to take down a human trafficking ring. Before we start, please give us a like and share to support our work.
Let's dive into how exciting and intense this movie is.
The story begins with our leading actor, Levon Cade. He's a former Special Forces operative, a top-tier combat expert who has survived countless dangerous missions.
However, a family tragedy led him to leave his perilous profession for a simpler life.
He chose a job that wouldn't take him far from his daughter, becoming a construction foreman for the Garcia family's small company, where he earned his boss's trust and his crew's affection. One day on the job, Levon notices a strange car pull up to the construction site.
Two thuggish-looking men get out and start harassing one of his workers. Levon tries to mediate, suggesting they talk things out. The thugs ignore his warning, telling him to mind his own business and continuing their assault. Levon can't stand by. He throws a bucket of nails at them and quickly takes down the intruders in a 2-on-1 fight. One of the thugs pulls a gun, intending to shoot. But do you know who you're messing with? Levon grabs nearby tools. He expertly goes on the offensive.
More gang members arrive as backup,
But they're no match for him.
in the blink of an eye. He takes them all down before pulling out a hidden shotgun and aiming it at them. He doesn't want to kill them, so he tells them to leave, forcing them to retreat.
His workers are stunned, asking where he learned to fight like that. But Levon doesn't answer.
Meanwhile, Jenny Garcia, the company owner's daughter,
Witnessed the whole thing and is thrilled that Levon single-handedly subdued the entire gang.
she immediately guesses he has an extraordinary past, likely military training.
Levon just smiles, not revealing his intense background, and asks her not to tell her parents what she saw.
He doesn't want his boss to be scared or mistrust him. The young woman agrees and jokingly says, "If anything happens to me, you'll help, right?"
Levon casually agrees. After work, Levon drives to the house of Dr. Jordan Roth, his former father-in-law, who currently has custody of Mary Cade, Levon's daughter. His wife has passed away. Roth has never liked his son-in-law, believing Levon caused his daughter's depression, which led to her suicide.
Levon is only allowed to see his daughter for 2 hours a week, and today is his scheduled day to pick her up for an outing.
Roth tries to delay his granddaughter from leaving and condemns Levon for neglecting his family and resorting to violence to solve problems. Levon patiently listens to the criticism but insists on taking Mary out, as is his right.
After spending precious time with his daughter, he meets with his lawyer to discuss the escalating situation.
The lawyer wants him to control his temper and avoid using force with Roth, explaining that Levon is currently at a disadvantage because he has no permanent address.
He has to sleep in his car to save money.
To make matters worse, his father-in-law's lawyer has filed a petition with the court, claiming Levon suffers from PTSD from his time in combat and is prone to violence. They are requesting to reduce Levon's visitation hours and require supervision during his time with his daughter, not allowing him to be alone with the child. Levon is quite disheartened.
He vents that he dedicated over 20 years of his life to serving his country, only to be labeled a danger to his own daughter. Nevertheless,
Levon is determined to fight for his right to care for his daughter, even though he has little money left, and he's willing to spend it all.
that same night, Jenny and her classmates go out to a nightclub. The girls are enjoying the music, unaware that
They are being watched. A man named Viper and a woman named Artemis, a Russian duo working for a gang, are on a sinister mission, filming girls in the bar and sending the footage to clients for selection.
once an order is received, they will abduct the target immediately. Johnny, the bartender, is an informant for this group, acting as their eyes and ears, helping to spot victims. That night, Jenny is the one the client chooses.
When she takes her friend to the restroom, Johnny quickly texts the criminals her movements. They wait for the young woman to be alone.
Viper uses a sedative on her and carries her to a waiting car.
Everything is systematic as they do this regularly.
On Monday morning, Levon arrives at work as usual but finds his bosses, Jenny's parents, deeply distressed. They tell him their daughter has been missing since Friday night.
They've reported it to the police, but there's no progress. Joe Garcia, the father, notices Levon's capabilities and guesses he has a combat or military background, so he begs Levon to help find Jenny. Levon refuses, explaining he has decided to stay out of dangerous situations, but is willing to help in other ways, like managing the company in their absence. The couple persists, even offering a large sum of money, but Levon stands firm. However, as a good citizen, it's in his DNA, and he feels uneasy. Plus, he had promised to help the young woman if she was ever in trouble. So, he visits an old friend, Gunny Lefferty, who served with him in the same unit. Gunny lost his sight during a mission, but survived thanks to Levon. When they meet, Levon tells him about his boss's daughter. Gunny knows his friend well and understands Levon can't ignore this. He encourages his friend, emphasizing, if you get serious, those bastards are all going down. After that, Levon returns to Jenny's parents' house. He speaks of the great pain in his life when he lost his wife. During that time, he was lost and aimless, but luckily, he started working with Joe and his family, who were very good to him. Others didn't trust him, but Joe's family was different. So, Levon wants to repay their kindness. He says, "Your family is my family. I'll bring Jenny back." Joe is deeply moved, and the two men touch foreheads. The scene cuts to Levon immediately starting his investigation by going to the bar where Jenny and her friends were on the night she disappeared. He notices crystal meth being smuggled through the bartender, who acts as a middleman. And upon inspecting the premises, he finds the security camera wires deliberately cut. Levon tails the bartender to his apartment. This is Johnny, who is involved in the girl's disappearance. With his well-honed skills, Levon easily picks the lock and breaks into the apartment. He uses a shotgun to intimidate Johnny and disarms him. Levon asks for Jenny's whereabouts, but the young man pretends not to know, lying that he already gave a statement to the police, claiming he saw the girl leave the bar intoxicated, and that her disappearance has nothing to do with him. Levon doesn't believe his lies. So, he dunks Johnny's head in a tub of water, forcing him to reveal the truth. He also mentions the crystal dealing he observed at the bar, but the other man remains defiant, boasting that the people he works for are not ordinary and will come after Levon. Suddenly, two of Johnny's gang members are coming up to the room. Johnny immediately yells for his friends. Hearing the call for help, they open fire. Levon uses Johnny's body as a shield before accurately shooting back, killing the two men with his shotgun. Levon checks the bodies, lifts the shirt of one of the newcomers, and sees a tattoo on his chest, indicating he's a member of the Russian mafia. Levon quickly leaves, taking Johnny's phone and their money. The scene cuts to Levon staking out Johnny's apartment from his car. By morning, he sees a luxury car with tinted windows pull up in front of the building. A group of men, looking like mafia, get out of the car and enter the building. Levon quickly jots down details. His instincts tell him these guys are likely from the same gang as the three men he just killed. And he's right. Wolodymyr Wolo Kolisnyk is the big boss of the Russian mafia. He received the bad news about his members and came to investigate himself. Initially, they analyzed that Johnny had a money dispute with his friends, leading to the shooting. But Wolo finds that the wounds are from a shotgun, because no such weapon was found at the scene, and a large amount of money was stolen. They can't conclude who the perpetrator is. They only know the three didn't harm each other. It was definitely an outsider. Not long after that, when the gang leaves, Levon follows them to a house in the suburbs. He observes from outside using binoculars to watch their movements and sees the man he assumes is the big boss arguing with a young woman. Then he slaps her hard across the face. Levon waits until the target is alone. Then he calmly sneaks in. He grabs a pot of hot coffee and throws it in the thug's face, followed by a heavy punch with full force. Before tying him to a chair, Wolo is dazed and passes out. But when he regains consciousness, he immediately boasts that he's a big shot in the Russian mafia and threatens the other man. But he will be hunted down and his entire family wiped out. This threat slightly angers Levon, so he slaps him hard, avenging the woman who was assaulted earlier. The mafia boss offers money, but Levon isn't interested and even throws a wad of cash to show he doesn't care. He pulls out Jenny's photo. This is what he wants. This young girl. Levon orders Wolo to tell him her location, but he claims he doesn't know. However, he accidentally lets slip Dimi Kolisnyk's name, as if he knows it was Dimi's doing. But even so,
The old mafioso still acts arrogantly.
He insults Levon for daring to disrespect him over a single girl. He refuses to provide any more information and even defiantly taunts him, saying, "You're dead." Levon immediately retorts,
"You'll die first." He releases the chair and cuts the rope, causing Wolo's body to sink into the water, and soon he drowns.
Levon recorded their conversation.
He listens to the audio and picks up that Wolo mentioned someone named Dimi.
At that moment, he doesn't know who Dimi is but believes he's connected to Jenny, whom he's searching for.
Later, Simon Korchenko, an elderly gang leader type, arrives with his 2 sons at the house of the recently deceased Wolo.
Simon is another high-ranking member of the gang and also Wolo's brother.
He reviews the security footage and is quite surprised that the killer dared to murder a mafia member without fear and didn't touch any money
or valuables in the house, which is considered respectable.
Simon therefore suspects the motive behind this mysterious man's attack.
He orders his 2 sons, Danya Korchenko and Vanko Korchenko, to find Levon quickly.
He wants to investigate the truth,
and from their conversation, we learn that Dimi is Wolo's son who
just passed away.
But Dimi hasn't contacted his family in a long time.
The next morning, Levon calls a former colleague, Kevin, asking for help in finding someone named Dimi who might be connected to Wolo.
But his friend immediately warns him. Wolo is a high-ranking member of the mafia. Getting involved could be dangerous. Levon suspects Dimi might also be involved in human trafficking and the crystal trade. Kevin, understanding the seriousness of the situation, gives him the location of a dive bar that is a hangout for this gang.
Levon heads to the location and goes undercover as a customer, sitting and drinking to observe. But since the place is both a den of thieves and a hub for illegal goods,
movements inside and around the premises are constantly monitored by security cameras.
Artemis, the woman watching the monitors, notices the suspicious behavior of the new customer. The cameras also detect that Levon is armed.
She suspects he might be a cop and sends a gang member to test him. Levon, realizing this, flashes a large wad of cash he brought, signaling he wants to buy something. The man then takes him to meet Dutch, a large black man who seems to be the bar's enforcer. Dutch directly asks Levon why he brought a gun. Levon calmly replies that he's carrying a lot of cash and needs protection in case of robbery.
Artemis, still suspicious, taunts him. "You might be a cop." Dutch asks to check Levon's bag, but he immediately refuses, saying he didn't come here to be intimidated. At that, Dutch orders his men to surround the stranger.
Levon isn't scared.
He says, "All right, let's have some fun," and immediately starts fighting.
He showcases his fighting skills, taking on the large thugs with punches and kicks. He attacks his opponents without needing to use his gun. Seeing his skills, Dutch orders everyone to stop the fight, fearing his man would get hurt more.
Dutch asks to shake Levon's hand, believing this man is probably not a cop, but more likely a soldier. Dutch introduces himself, saying he used to be in the Air Force.
Then he starts talking about buying crystal. Levon states his purpose. He wants to buy a large lot of graded crystal, £4 a month.
He used to order from another supplier, but can't reach them anymore, so he's trying this place.
The 2 sides negotiate the price for a while.
Dutch tells Levon to go to a restaurant in the area at AM the next day and bring $5,000 for the goods. The next day, Levon arrives at the restaurant on time. He gives the money to a gang member,
but they hand him an old cell phone instead. They say they'll send the pickup location via the phone later, claiming that since it's the first transaction and they don't know each other, they won't hand over the goods immediately. Levon pours honey on them, threatening them slightly. "Don't trick me," after the young man drives off for a bit. Dutch contacts him, saying the goods are under his car seat, which they are. After hanging up, he pulls over and throws the bag of crystal into the water, not wanting to be involved with illegal substances.
The scene cuts to Jenny, the girl Levon is looking for. She's still alive, and today, a wealthy client named Broad has arranged for her to be delivered to satisfy his desires.
Artemis and Viper bring the bound girl to the old man's private residence, but not long after, Broad comes out of the room screaming.
It turns out the girl bit his face until it was bloody.
He scolds both of them for not sedating her first,
and tells them to get Jenny out of his house immediately. At the same time,
Dutch contacts Levon again. He says if Levon wants to buy more, he should meet his partner the next day.
Dutch insists he dress formally.
To show respect when meeting an important person in the gang, and to bring a large sum of money.
The next day, Levon arrives at the meeting place looking sharp in a suit and meets Dimi, who has decision-making power over Dutch. Upon hearing Dimi's name, Levon knows immediately he is on the right track, but he continues to pretend he wants to do business buying crystal from Dimi's gang. The other party asks to check his ID. To make sure he's not an undercover cop. Levon has to hand over his driver's license. Upon checking, the name matches the ID. Dimi starts to trust him and agrees to the next crystal deal. After meeting the key target, Levon returns to search for more clues on the phone of Johnny, the bartender who was killed, and finds another crucial piece of information. It's a message Johnny sent, reporting Jenny's movements to the criminals. He also sees the face of the man who is secretly filming girls in the bar, which is Viper. Levon returns to the secret bar, the mafia's hangout, but this time he stakes out from his car outside, unaware that there are security cameras covering that area too. Artemis spots Levon in the car and calls her associates to go after him immediately. When he sees a group running out of the bar with guns, Levon senses the danger and steals a motorcycle to escape. The mafia gives chase in a pickup truck, driving recklessly. Levon can only speed away, dodging the barrage of bullets. With no chance to retaliate, they use another pickup to block his path, but Levon manages to evade the attack and break through. But then, suddenly, a police car crashes into him, and Levon can't brake in time. His body flies and hits the windshield of the car that just arrived. At first, he thinks he's safe from the mafia, but it turns out the mafia gang has bribed the police to get him. As soon as the female officer takes the money, she hits Levon on the head with her gun butt without hesitation. Two men from the mafia gang, who are the sons of Simon, an influential figure in the organization, get their target without lifting a finger. They drag Levon into a van and tie his hands before revealing that Wolo, the man Levon let drown, was their uncle, and they want to know why he did it. Levon tries to distract them, criticizing their tasteless attire. Then he seizes the opportunity for a surprise attack with powerful kicks and elbows. Even with his hands tied, he shows his strength, beating up his enemies and even stealing a handgun. The two brothers try to get the gun back. During the struggle in the back of the van, the gun accidentally goes off. A bullet passes through the driver's head, causing the van to lose control, crash into an obstacle, and flip over by the river. Despite being outnumbered, with his top-tier fighting skills, Levon manages to kill the two brothers and finds a way to free himself from his restraints. He escapes the van and kicks it into the water to destroy the evidence. Meanwhile, Dimi reprimands his two underlings for the incident where Jenny bit the client's face, causing him to pay $200,000 in damages. The client also demanded that Jenny be taken care of for him to be satisfied. Dimi agrees with this drastic punishment and orders his henchmen to deal with the girl quickly. On another front, high-ranking members of the mafia hold a meeting. Simon reports that his two sons have just been brutally murdered, as well as Wolo, his brother. But even so, the other members don't seem to care much. This man, who seems to be the council's top leader, simply orders that he will send his best men to help find Dimi, Wolo's missing son, himself. After getting the information, Simon and his henchmen raid Dimi's house. He tells him the news of Wolo's, his father's, death. But the young man doesn't even feel sorry. He had a falling out with his father long ago, forcing them to work separately, and they hadn't contacted each other for a long time. Simon states his purpose. He wants to hunt down the killer. He shows him the security camera footage. Dimi is shocked when he sees it, because that's the leading actor. The young man reveals the person in the picture had contacted his group to buy crystal. But Dimi doesn't know many details. He only has a copy of this man's driver's license. Simon's men use the information to investigate further, until they discover Levon's true identity, including his history as a Special Forces soldier on the location of Roth, his father-in-law. The situation becomes more tense when Levon receives a call from his daughter's schoolteacher, informing him that no one has picked up Mary yet, even though her grandfather, Roth, is never late. Levon senses something is wrong because he can't contact Roth either. He rushes to pick up his daughter himself. When he arrives at Roth's house, he finds the upper floor engulfed in flames. The young man runs through the flames to save the old man without hesitation. But Roth still blames Levon, saying he's the cause of the trouble that has come to him. Mary immediately interjects. Dad could have left Grandpa in the fire, but he risked his life to save him. His granddaughter's words begin to change Rod's attitude towards Levon for the better. For the child's safety, Levon takes her to stay with Gunny and his wife outside the city. Even in this dangerous situation, he remains determined to find Jenny. Gunny helps his old friend, by taking him to his private armory, giving him an untraceable gun to help the innocent without the police being able to track the owner. Before leaving, Levon promises his daughter he will return safely. Scene cut. Artemis and Viper are about to deal with Jenny. They tie her hands and put her in a car, but Jenny waits for an opportunity when they are distracted and fiercely attacks them, causing the driver to lose control. The car crashes into a tree, and both are stuck with the airbags deployed. Jenny seizes the chance to run into the woods until she sees a police car pass by. She quickly calls for help, saying she was abducted by the mafia. The police take her to a building hidden in the middle of the woods. Seeing the state of the building, the girl's hope, after having managed to escape, is shattered. The policeman turns to her and says, "I'm sorry, that's right." The police were bribed as usual, and Jenny is taken back to the criminals' den. The criminals throw her body into a canal, intending to drown her to end the matter. But then the situation turns again because the same perverted client video calls Artemis, arranging to meet Jenny at the clubhouse without sedating her. He wants to have his way with her one last time before killing her himself. Meanwhile, Levon, now equipped with new, superior weapons, this time dressed for combat, he heads straight to Dimi's bar, picking up the henchmen one by one, until he reaches the despicable leader. Dimi senses the attack outside. He quickly grabs a nearby girl as a hostage, but Levon shows off his incredible pinpoint accuracy. He shoots through his opponent's palm with precision, disarming him. Levon pulls out Jenny's photo and threatens Dimi to take him to her. On the way, Dimi reveals that Viper selects beautiful girls in bars, films them, and sends the clips to clients. He handles the arrangements and discusses money with the clients. Levon scolds the young man. What he's doing is pure evil. This is clearly human trafficking. But Dimi replies without remorse, "Don't be so naive. If I don't do it, many others will." Upon reaching the clubhouse where Jenny is hidden, Levon kicks the scumbag into the water, then pulls the trigger, letting him die in the water, just like Wolo, his father. Meanwhile, Dutch has just heard that Dimi's bar was raided by Levon and Dimi was dragged to the clubhouse. So, Dutch gathers his men and sets off to rescue his boss, unaware that Dimi is already dead. At the same time, Artemis and Viper take the perverted client to see Jenny. She is being held captive in an upstairs room of the club. Levon observes from outside and finds that the building is a casino with many customers. The master assassin begins his operation by shooting from a distance, picking off the outer bodyguards one by one. Then he throws a hand grenade to create chaos and confusion, forcing customers to flee the building. Then he goes in solo to eliminate all the thugs, switching between his gun and knife to dispatch enemies. When Dutch arrives with a large group of henchmen, Levon is unfazed. He uses every skill he has to fight the gang of criminals rushing at him until only Dutch, the large former Emin, remains. The two face off in a knife duel. Levon uses his superior experience to stab his opponent in the chest and then again in the throat. But because they were both former soldiers, Levon closes Dutch's eyes and says his farewells. "If you get a chance to be reborn, be a better person." Levon heads to the second floor. He continues his search for Jenny until he finds her locked in a room. He shoots the perverted old man first, then turns his gun to the next target. Viper tries to fight back, but his skills are no match for Levon. The veteran assassin beats and pummels him until he's nearly coughing up blood, a punishment fitting the evil he inflicted on his victims. Meanwhile, Jenny refuses to give up. She uses her legs to lock Artemis in a chokehold, killing her. Levon quickly frees Jenny from the chains that bind her. Downstairs, the mafia group that just arrived is facing a new situation as they see a police car pull up in front of the club. Unaware that the two officers are on their side, the thugs open fire, blowing up the car. The crooked cops pay for their crimes in the inferno. Levon watches the events from upstairs, observing the newly arrived group of criminals. He uses his sharpshooting skills to pick them off and throws another grenade to clear the area. Finally, Levon manages to escape that hellhole with Jenny. Simon, who was hiding outside the building, can only watch as the man who killed his son walks away safely. He calls his council leader, reporting that the killer has escaped and taken the girl with him. The voice on the other end replies curtly, "The devil got what he wanted, let him go." But Simon adamantly declares he will not let the man who killed his son live. The boss replies in a cold tone that he prioritizes the council's stability over personal revenge. If Simon seeks revenge, he will kill Simon first. Hearing this, Simon has no choice but to hang up and scream in anguish. After all the events, Levon takes Jenny home. Her parents embrace her with relief. As for Levon, he returns to his daughter. They share a happy meal before the movie ends here. And that was A Working Man to 0 to 5. It scored 5.7 out of 10 on IMDb. Critics on Rotten Tomatoes gave it 49%, while the audience score was 87%. If you like this genre, give it a +1. And if you like this clip, please give it a like. If you want to see more clips, subscribe. This is Khan Studio, your land of fun and excitement. I have to go now. Goodbye.